This year at Georgia State, the men's basketball team has been under some serious pressure that most seasons they haven't been really used to. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, and they have 2 potential draft picks on their team. Coach Hunter took some time to overview the summary of this year's season so far. Just pretty much, I kind of want to talk to you about, this year's been kind of a hectic season, a lot of attention around here. Probably more attention than you guys probably usually get or any season, or maybe that you've been here. Of course, last year you guys had a great season, 25-9. One conference loss. It got cut short by University of Louisiana Lafayette. But let's kind of just go all the way back to recruiting. You guys got top nation players in the previous years, and how are you selling these guys to come to Georgia State?
Well, I think Georgia State's easy to sell. I mean, I think this is a great university located in one of the best cities in the country. And we just happen to be downtown Atlanta. And so when I first got here, I struggled with finding out why Georgia State hadn't won before. Because this is just, it's not so much as a hotbed for basketball, but it's such an electrified city. And then Georgia State continues to grow, and it's such a great institution. The sale's easy, to be honest with you. And so we've been able to do that, and then you got to sell yourself a little bit. And so, and I've never had any problem selling myself. So, so you put all those things together, it's just kind of made it easy for us.
Okay, let's move a little bit forward into the preseason. Coming into the season, you guys had a lot of attention. A lot of the media, the national spotlight was on Georgia State now. Just talk about what did you tell your guys, how to handle that?
Sometimes you can be a victim of your own success, and what I mean by that is last year we kind of came out of nowhere, and we won a lot of games, and we played some games on television, and we had a long streak, and we ended up losing in the championship game. But this year, again, I think we're having actually a better year. The numbers sometimes, it's not about the final number because we're not quite done yet, but it's been a little different, and we've had to, it's different in the sense that we're now the mark school. Every time we go somewhere, we get everybody's best shot. It's kind of like some of our players, because they've got so much hype, Kevin Ware and RJ and Ryan Harrell, that other guy wants to prove that he's just as good. And so we've got those type of players here at Georgia State, and now Georgia State's the school that everyone wants to beat. When I first took the job here, people didn't even know we even had a basketball team, let alone wanted to beat it. So I'd rather be in that position, and as long as I'm at Georgia State, we're going to be in that position. We're going to be the team that's always going to be hunted.
Okay. There's no doubt you've got 2 potential draft prospects on your team. What advice maybe have you given them to handle that and not so much worry about, the scouts on the sideline and, just play basketball?
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things to do is to say don't worry about it when you know they're there. I think the one thing I want to do is that, as your generation says, I want to keep it real with them. And so one of the things that I want to make sure is that you're in college now, enjoy it. That stuff's going to be there. Whatever you do right now, it's going to be there at the end. But what won't be is college. And so you want to enjoy this experience. And I've told Brian that, and I've definitely told RJ that. So really, truly enjoy it, especially with Ryan, because he's a senior. This is the last time he'll play college basketball. RJ will have a choice whether he wants to come back or not. But whether you do or you don't, enjoy the moment. Don't worry about something that you can't control, which is tomorrow. Take care of today. And that's just not those 2 guys. That's everyone on our program. Worry about today, because if you worry about today, tomorrow takes care of itself.
All right, and you guys took a trip to Costa Rica over the preseason, the off season. Explain how that helped your team.
Well, it helped not so much from a basketball-wise. What I wanted to do, part of me that when I came here, I wanted to make sure every student-athlete that I coach was better physically, spiritually, and mentally. And that's what that trip was about. It was about making that person a little bit better, and that's why we gave the shoes out. And it's about helping other people that are a lot less privileged than what you are. So the basketball was probably if I had 10 things that I want to accomplish, that was number 10. And so it bonded the guys, but it also got them to understand that there are people in this world that have a lot less than what they have. And I wanted to put them in a situation where they could see that, but not only see it, but what they could do by helping. And so that's what I loved about it, because I saw some guys that are from Atlanta, here from the city, and I saw those guys use there with tears in their eyes because they actually saw children that really suffer. And so for me, that trip hit a home run.
Yeah. Okay. In the preseason, you guys had a lot of awards and a lot of attention. You have the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year on your team, preseason Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. All 11 coaches unanimously picked you guys to win the Sun Belt. RJ goes to the Kevin Durant Academy and LeBron's Academy. Pretty much, how do you guys operate with all that attention? Everybody, of course, like you said, everybody wants to beat Georgia State.
Yeah.
you guys are the team that's scheduled on everyone's calendar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell your guys, like, with all this attention in the preseason awards, just to play basketball and kind of just?
Well, you have to take it. It's terrific for the institution, but it's all hype. There's no substance to it because again you have to still play the games. When we lost Jeff Thomas early, Jeff was a big part of what we wanted to do. So we knew we had to change some things in that regards. And then all of a sudden Kurt gets injured, so we had some things that kind of threw us off course a little bit. But I think those things helped us because we had to change how we wanted to play. But with expectations, that's part of it. Again, I didn't want to come here and have expectations of being 500 or have expectations of winning, just having a winning season. I wanted to take this program to a level that I hadn't seen before. I will not coach at Georgia State if we lower our expectations here. I want to always be trying to get championships here, and so that goes from recruiting and everything we do. So we won't shy away from that. You still got to go out and play, and you got to do all those things. That's what I told the guys. At the end of the day, we have to play. The hardest thing I had to do this year is that in November we had already been playing for the conference tournament. Our guys, I don't, they liked the games, it was all great, but they wanted to get back to that championship game. That's a goal of ours because we let that get away last year. And so everything we've done this year is about getting to that championship game.
Okay. All right, now let's kind of move into the beginning of the season. Second game, Iowa State, probably was the biggest game on your schedule. National television. You guys lost 81-58. What did this loss tell about your basketball team? Did you guys kind of humble yourselves? Because in the Sun Belt, you guys are the team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
How did this kind of, how did you look at yourself amongst everybody else in the country?
Well, it was good in the sense that we added such a huge dynamic in Kevin Ware. But what the guys had to understand, what Kevin had to understand, and even our fans had to understand, Kevin had been off for a year and a half, and that you knew it was going to take us some while to get back, not physically, but mentally get back to that level. And that we lost two really good players in Devontae and Manny. And then when you're at the mid-major level and you lose two guys like that, you don't replace that overnight. So we struggled out of the gates because Devontae did a lot for us. Manny did a lot for us. And so when you took those pieces out, it took some time to be able to replace that. We're only a game away from where we were a year ago, really, with the win-loss situation. So we're right on pace to what we had to be. But a lot of it is we lost two really good players. Now Kevin Ware started to come into his own and play well. Kurt's starting to get a little bit more healthy than he was last year. So we're starting to get where we were last year in that regards.
Yeah. All right. A little bit further into the regular season, you guys went on a 5-game win streak. You guys beat Chicago State, Western Carolina, Oakland, IU, PUI, and Green Bay, which Green Bay is a very good team. Mm-hmm. At this point in the season, did you think this is where your team needed to be, or this is how they needed to play?
We were winning games, but we weren't consistent. I think the one thing about this team is the consistency in playing 40 minutes. Although we won those games, outside of maybe the Green Bay game, I thought we played for 40 minutes. Even the games that we won, we still weren't playing for 40 minutes. And then we even got into January. That's been the one thing that I've been disappointed with this year is that our consistency in games. There are times in games where lights out, we're really good. But then we go through these lulls about 4 or 5 minutes that have really kind of cost us at times. And so that's been the kind of the negative about our team this year, that we're still even to this point trying to kind of fix and get better. And hopefully we get that done.
All right, to the Lafayette rematch. You guys go down there. Pretty good lead in the first half, 31-14. Pretty much, what happened?
The law. I mean, that's what we're playing well. We hadn't seen them since the conference tournament. We're at their place. Boy, we're really rolling, and we hit that 4-minute lull. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've had, that 4-minute lull. Every loss that we've had this year, we've hit that. Whether it's 2 minutes or whether it's 4 minutes, but there's a 2 or 4 minute lull that really gets us. And sometimes we're able to overcome it and win a game. Then sometimes that we haven't. And there are some, whether it's the Lafayette game or Georgia Southern game, there's been some games where we have that lull. And that's been the consistency that we've tried to fix. And so, and we need to get that fixed before we get to the tournament.
All right, now, of course, you guys beat them the second time at home, 75-64. Mm-hmm. And also, your son passes Rodney Hamilton for the all-time scoring leader. As a father, I know what you probably say as a coach, we need to move on. That's a great accomplishment. But as a father, what does that mean to you?
The hardest thing that I had to do is and when you coach your son, is be a father for the basketball program. Because there's so many demands of it. I want to enjoy the basketball part of what RJ has done until he's out of here. I'll probably enjoy it more when he's playing professionally somewhere. I can go back and be dad again, kind of like what I was when he was in high school. When you're his coach, it's hard to be dad. And so I look at everything like I look at all 15 guys on my team. It's really all about the same. So, he's won a lot of awards, all-time leading scorer. None of those things, I'll be honest with you, have sunk in with me. And I think what'll happen, which is too bad, I think it'll happen once he's gone. As a father, it'll sink more into, in regards to I'll enjoy it a little bit more, or I'll have more pride into it.
Yeah. Now, you touched on the possibly playing in the NBA. How do you feel about that? Your son playing in the NBA, like, what is that like?
Again, to be honest with you, it's not something that I spend a ton of time thinking about, because I had so many things I've got to worry about this program and winning. And RJ's the same way. The funny thing is we haven't had a whole lot of conversation about whether he's coming back or whether he's going into the NBA. We haven't had a lot of conversations about that, because again, what we talk about is what's now. Control what's now. Let's have fun. After the season, we'll sit down as a family and we'll decide what's best in that regard. But I want him to enjoy what Georgia State. The one thing I'm proud more about than anything is that RJ is excited about the school that he signed with. Mm-hmm. What I didn't want is I didn't want to hear one time RJ say, "Man, I wish I'd signed in Michigan," or "I wish I'd gone to Alabama or Virginia," or whatever. Not one time has he said that. Now that as a father, I'm really proud, because he made the right decision.
Okay. Now let's say when he does make it to the NBA, because of course he's talented. Mm-hmm. What's maybe one thing he better do for you?
Leave me tickets.
Yeah,
if I ever got to pay for a ticket, I'm going to be really upset. Yeah. No, you know what? Again, when you're a father, the one thing that not only with RJ but my daughter Jasmine is that you want your kids to do well and you want them to be happy. And at the end of the day, if they're happy doing what they want to do, then I'm happy with it. I'll do the same thing with my daughter's a clinical psychologist, and if she's happy with that, I'll go and support her and do that, and I'll do the same thing with RJ in that regards. And so, the hard part will be, the last 3 years, or I've been able to coach him, and now somebody else will be able to do it.
Yeah. All right, now RJ, he's been labeled the man on this team, without question. But there's some instances, some games where we've seen frustration. One game he'll score maybe 30. One game, the next game he'll score 8, 15. Do you think maybe the pressure is kind of getting to him, maybe just a little bit, or?
No, I think the pressures come from the type of defenses. I mean, we've seen boxing one. We've seen some, everything has been geared toward him, and that's where the frustration comes. I mean, he hadn't seen. I bet the entire year he hasn't had 5 open shots. Coming off a year where all his shots were open. And so you get frustrated after seeing those defenses, which is funny because that's why a lot of kids leave college and they go to the pro, because in the pros there's no zones. There's no boxing ones. They can just go be and they can go in. There's isolation just in one-on-one. He'll be a much better pro probably than he will be a college player, because you won't have all of the defenses and those things. And I think that's part of it. But then his other frustration comes with winning. I mean, RJ really wants to get this program to the NCAA tournament. And so that's one thing he's talked about from day one. And so his frustrations come when he wants to continue to win, and then he gets to the point where, because the shots hadn't fallen, although statistically he's had his best year ever, because if you look at the rebounds, the block shots, the steals, the assists, he's having career numbers out of all of those things. And the players around him are having careers. So he's actually having a much better year statistically than he ever had.
All right. Ryan Harrow, 19th player to reach 1,000 points in a GSU uniform. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe Harrow is kind of undershadowed, or maybe he doesn't get enough credit that he might deserve?
No, I would find that hard to believe, because he came from Kentucky. I think sometimes he got way the attention that he got was crazy because of the situation at Kentucky and Calipari. He came here very heralded in the sense of coming from Kentucky and how things went wrong. But what's happened is that he's come here and he's had his best 2 college basketball career here at Georgia State. And he's coming home to be able to do it. And so, here's a guy at Kentucky who played with nothing but lottery picks. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can come to Georgia State and all of a sudden be overshadowed. If he was overshadowed anywhere, it would have been at Kentucky. And he got so much attention there that really what Ryan wanted and he needed was the attention not to be square on him in that regard. And then he came here, and now you look at his numbers, he's having career numbers or career years here.
Yeah, because he's been the leading scorer for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah.
Just kind of describe, what does he do for your team?
Well, what he does, he's explosive with the ball. I mean, he's one. I don't think there are 5 guys in the country that can if you put the ball in his hand, he can go score the ball. There are 5 guys in the country that can do that without running a play, and you just say go score the ball. He's very explosive that way. And then his experience. He's a 5th-year senior that's seen it all. good and bad, whether it was NC State or Kentucky or here at Georgia State. And so I think his experience is what's, you take an experienced, talented player, and you're going to have great things. And when it's all said and done, you'll look and you say, man, look at the win-losses that we've had with Ryan Harrell in our lineup. So I think that Ryan Harrell has benefited coming to Georgia State, and Georgia State has benefited from having Ryan Harrell.
Yeah. Now, he's this year, he's had a reputation of being a hothead. The technical foul issue. Do you think his reputation is kind of maybe dismantled with the refs, or they're pretty much looking out for him to cause havoc?
Well, I think early, he got some technicals that he shouldn't have gotten. But what's happened is that now it's by reputation, because some of the technicals that he's got, and there are other players around the country who've got a lot more technicals than Ryan Harrell. But what's happened is that because he got labeled, and it's funny because I think a year ago, it's in his first year playing with us. A year ago, that was an issue.
Yeah, right.
And so all of a sudden, it becomes an issue. And so therefore, if you got to start looking at why you're making those calls, and are you being labeled in a certain way? Because a year ago, that was an issue. I can see if this is his first year, and there's been a pattern in being able to do that. There wasn't a pattern at Kentucky with it. There wasn't a pattern at NC State with it. There wasn't even a pattern our first year here.
Right.
So all of a sudden, why is that a pattern? And so I think you don't look at the kid. I think you look and see why that you're making those. Why all of a sudden these technicals are coming.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about them together. They're of course the two best players on your team. There has been some rumors that they maybe haven't been getting along. You talked to Doug Roberson of the AJC about this. Do you think maybe there's any truth at all to that rumor?
Absolutely not. I mean, again, you go back to these guys play. If that was going to be the case, it would have started a year ago. What you have are two alpha dogs, and you got two guys who could really score. And when you had that, again, I mean, I'll go back and say it again. RJ has played with Marcus Teague and the Teagues when he was in high school. Ryan Harrell has played at Kentucky with great players. And so what happens is that these guys have done that before. But I've said why I said earlier about being a victim of sometimes of your success is that a year ago we didn't have these issues. But the more you win and the more you got guys who are pros, you're going to have that. You're going to have people who are going to say, oh my goodness, they don't look like they're happy together. And that's so far from the truth. When I first heard that, I thought that was a crazy. I could see that with some other guys on the team more than I can see that with these two guys. These are guys who have played a lot of minutes together. Now, what they both want to do, they both want to win. And when you get two dynamic scorers together, I mean, there's only 3 or 4 duos in the country averaging more points than they are. So a lot of times what you get is you get two competitive guys. And when you get them competitive in games, then sometimes you're going to see their frustrations, whether it comes from winning or not making a shot or getting a ball. But in regards to them being friends, that was so off base. That was crazy.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there wasn't this problem or speculation last year. What do you think maybe is the difference from last year to this year?
All the expectations, the media attention, the professional thing. You had all that stuff up, and that's what happens. You get, we got more people covering us that didn't even know anything about us. I've done more interviews with more national media this year than I ever have. And so all of that, but that comes with it. Imagine what happens at Kentucky. Imagine what happened. We're just a program that's received a lot of attention, which is a good thing. But what comes with that attention, there's a bigger microscope. So everything, you're looking at everything now. And so people kind of, the AJC and Doug Roberson has been, they come here now all the time. My first year, I begged them to come over here. Now all of a sudden, everything's a story. It's a story about, about our defense, what color shoes I'm wearing, RJ and Ryan. I mean, but that comes with it, and we want that. We embrace that.
All right. There was a game against UT Arlington that you coached the game barefoot. A lot of people don't know exactly why. Maybe can you kind of explain the message behind that?
Yeah, I do it for an organization called Samaritan's Feet, and I started it when I was in Indiana. I didn't start it, but I started taking my shoes off at that time to bring awareness of children that do not have shoes. There are 100 million children in the world that do not have shoes, and so when I was approached with this, and I had no idea this was the case, this is something that's been near and dear to my heart. That I wanted to do. And not only so, I do it for the awareness, but there's a lot more that we do with the awareness, whether it's taking my teams to Africa to give shoes to children, whether it's me going to Africa or some other parts of the world, or even in this country. Even at the Final Four in Indiana this year, we're going to give out 50,000 pair of shoes. And so most of it was just bringing awareness to it. So you asking a question was worth me doing it. So if one student reads this and they realize, hey, listen, Coach did this to bring awareness that, you mean 100 million children go without a pair of shoes every day? And if you can ask yourself that question and you want to do something about it, then it was worthwhile. So that's why I do it.
Yeah. Now you're known to be a guy, to jump around a lot on the sidelines, run back and forth. How did your feet feel after that?
Sore. Usually it takes about a week or so because I don't have any shoes on. But right after the game, I'm telling you, man, it's my feet hurt. And you know what? I'll tell you this: our secret. I won't tell anybody. It's just our secret.
Okay.
Before the game, I got a pedicure.
Yeah.
And I was told it was the worst thing because it softens your feet.
Yeah.
So it really messed me up because I got the pedicure. But we won't tell anybody that Coach Hunter got a pedicure, right?
Yeah.
That's just me and you, right? All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right. Now, back up to what's going on right now. You have 5 games left. 3 teams you've beaten already. You played Southern, but you guys played them at home, and you guys had a good home record the past 2 years here. Monroe's number 1. Southern's number 2. How important is it for you guys to get that number 1 seed?
It's important for us to get the bye. We want that 1 or 2 bye. I mean, if you can get that 1st or 2nd seed in the tournament, that's great. Remember, we won the league last year, and it was a lot of excitement. We were excited about it, but we didn't get to the NCAA tournament. I believe in the last 11 years, a team that has won the league has only gone to the NCAA tournament once out of 11 years. So what's important to us is that we want to continue to win. But right now, I'll be honest with you, we're playing for the tournament. I mean, we're getting ourselves ready for the tournament. Our goal has been the NCAA tournament all year. We have never really set a bar and said we want to win the league again. It'd be nice, we'll take it, but what we want to do is that we want to win the Sun Belt tournament. That's the most important thing to us. And so if that means we've got to do it as a number 1 seed, we'll do that. But what's important to us is right now getting ourselves ready for that tournament.
Okay. Basically, in a sense, kind of describe maybe the overall ride of this year. This has been a different year probably than any year you've coached. Just explain how it's been to handle the attention and the criticism. I don't worry about the attention, when people praise me. I don't worry about the criticism. What I worry about is making sure that I get my guys ready to play. Because that's part of when you're a coach and you're the head coach of a program, you take the good and the bad. We're 17-8. Before I got here, Georgia State had 6 straight losing seasons, and so we wouldn't be having this conversation. So what we've done is we brought a winning attitude to Georgia State. We brought a winning program to Georgia State, something this school needs desperately. And so us having that, it's okay for people to get mad because we lost. That means they care. And so we're okay with that. Now this year, it's been an interesting year in the sense of everything. We've had to earn everything. Nothing's been given to us. Last year was a fun ride. It was great. You're winning, throwing in shots at the buzzer. Man, it was fun. This year, we've had to earn every single win, every single basket, everything. It hadn't been easy for us through the injuries, through the suspensions, through all the stuff we've had. Nothing's been easy. But nothing great comes to you unless you got to go through something. And we went through a lot this year. That's why I feel good about the tournament this year. Has there ever been a point in the season, you guys are around each other a lot. Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a point in the season where a player maybe had to come to you, not as a coach, but just as a father, to talk to you about anything?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, again, my job is just, if it was just the X and O, man, it'd be, I bet 8% of my job is about X and O. The rest of it is about making these young men and making sure they have a great experience in college. I had a great experience in college, and I want to make sure that all my young men have a great experience in college and that they're productive citizens in the city of Atlanta when they're done here. So that's part of my job. So what I want to make sure is that, I spend more time doing those things than anything that I'll do X and O wise.
Explain the unity of this team.
I think it's a really close team. I really do. I think that, again, from the guys, what people probably don't understand, we brought 10 new players into our program. Now, what's interesting is the bulk of the starters played last year, but everybody else, for the most part, was new and that came into our program. So we were kind of starting over, but we weren't. And so the group had to kind of come together. And what happens when you start winning, everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants a piece of you. And so I've always said this before, handling success is the hardest thing in the world to do. It's easy to build a program. I didn't come here to build a program because I think that's an easy thing to do. Sustain a program is a hard thing to do. Sustaining success is extremely difficult. And that's what I want to be able to do here. I didn't want to come here to be a one-year wonder. That's why it's important that we keep stacking 21 seasons, going to postseason play, have people talk about, going to the tournament, being upset because we lost in the championship game. That's what I wanted to bring here, and that's what we've been able to do. Sustaining it is what I want to be able to do.
Probably the easiest question for you. Simply put, why you like to coach or love to coach?
I think it's a gift. And I think that's, some people are born to do certain things. This is what I was born to do. This is my calling, and I enjoy it. And again, I enjoy taking the young men between ages of 18 and 22 and helping them develop into men. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy going to institutions where there hasn't been a lot of winning and going in and bringing excitement and winning. I love that. I love that feel. I would rather coach at a place like this, and then a place is already established and been winning for the last 20 or 30 years. I love that underdog role. I love going to being able to say, people say, don't take the Georgia State job. It's a terrible job. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, all those same people want my job. That's why I coach. I love that.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share? We give a message out to the student body, fans, anyone, anything else you might want?
Yeah, I do. I do want to thank the students. The students have been terrific since I've been here. One of the reasons that we've had success and we've been able to build this program is because I said the first time I got this job, you have to win at home. If you don't win at home, nothing else matters. And we win at home because of our students. We have the best environment in the Sun Belt. I don't care what anyone says. We may not have the most people because our building can't hold that many people. But if you walk into our facility, you have no chance of usually coming out here with a win. Our students have really created an environment in here for winning, and I love that more than anything. And I will always thank our students for that.
Coach Ron Hunter, thank you so much.
Thank you.